Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and it's time for part 3 of the Monday Q&A, so let's get to those questions. First question, on a cut after an unscheduled cheat meal, should calories be reduced and add extra cardio the next couple days to get back on track, or should you go back to normal macros? See, this is why I talk about eating disorders and developing negative associations and negative relationships with your food being so prevalent in the bodybuilding world, and particularly in just the world of people who want six-pack abs. And this is a textbook example of how you can train yourself to develop an eating disorder. Okay, you've cheated on a meal. You don't have a contest coming. You're not stepping on a bodybuilding stage in 8 weeks. You just set a cut, not a contest prep. That one cheat meal set you back a couple days on your cut. Move on with your life and go back to your normal calories and workload the next day. If you start getting into a basically binge and purge cycle, meaning that you binge and then afterwards you have to punish yourself and you have to do something extreme to deal with the calories, you are basically training yourself to develop an eating disorder. But if it just happened while you were out with people and you ate a bunch of food that went way over your calories, don't do anything differently the next day. Do not train yourself to binge and then respond to the binge with a negative response. You need to just continue with your diet and your training as normal and forget it ever happened. It didn't cost you that much. Do not develop a cycle of a negative relationship with your food. It's the worst thing you could do would be to respond to the binge with something different the next day. All right, next question. 2 to 3 big meals in a day versus 5 to 7 small meals in a day in terms of body storing food as fats due to long gaps between meals as opposed to body being used as a constant source of energy and storing less fat, blah, blah, blah. All right, guys, this is complete bullshit. This has been studied and studied and studied, and we know that the number of meals you eat in a day is so insignificant to your body composition that it's not worth worrying about. The only people who need to worry about meal frequency are usually very serious athletes who are training multiple times a day. Outside of that, I don't care if you eat 2 meals or 8 meals. It is the net content of those meals that's going to affect the total thermic effect, how much fat you store, what you burn for fuel, changes in body composition. The number of meals you eat isn't going to matter significantly. And in fact, when we studied it, the differences between them are so insignificant that we can't tell which one is better. That's how close they are, that we measure it, we can't actually tell you if you'll get leaner off of 2 meals or 8 meals. Because they're so close together in results that the margin for error on the measurement is high enough that we can't tell them apart. So we don't even actually know scientifically which one's better. So don't worry about it. All right, last question. I want to transition to powerlifting after my bodybuilding show. Any advice for someone who has never trained like a powerlifter? How should I approach nutrition? Well, actually, since you've already cut down to a bodybuilding show, you already know how to bulk, you already know how to cut successfully. I don't really need to give you real advice on the nutrition. Just ease into a very slow, clean bulk going into your powerlifting. In fact, I wouldn't even bulk hard early on. You don't want to gain too much strength too quick if you're not used to powerlifting with a strength base already built. I'd be worried about connective tissue issues. What I would recommend is just go on any basic strength program. You could run something like one of Bill Starr's programs, Christian Thibodeau's strength programs, but something that keeps you up around 5 reps. I would not drop down and start doing doubles and triples if you're a bodybuilder with no powerlifting experience. I would use a basic build-up program to build strength and size at the same time going into a slow bulk. So any sort of 3x5 program or a non-sets across 5x5. Sets across 5x5s are bodybuilding work. So something that uses stepped 5x5s, which really only have 2 work sets. But any sort of high-frequency basic strength program is what I would recommend, but don't really go under 5 reps early on. I would train for at least 3 months up around the 5 to 6 rep range with a basic strength program and then drop down into a power program. But you need to make sure that your connective tissue and your technique are built up using the heavier weights with a 5 rep type system first before you try to start actually doing true power work. But if you do want to do something with some true power work, you could go with some of Joe DeFranco's basic type programs, something like Westside Barbell for Skinny Bastards or Built Like a Badass, anything like that just to get you started. But I wouldn't jump right into something like 531. Again, the overall workloads are going to be too high for someone who's now built a foundation but maybe doesn't have their technique good and they don't have their connective tissue built up strong enough because they don't lift heavy often enough. Alright guys, that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it has been informative, and I will talk to you next time.